fuck is Wicander Halovar's class? Hey folks, sorry for the language, not really. But I think that's a question most of us are asking ourselves, because with stats like these, 18 in charisma and 10 in wisdom, it's hard to believe that Sam is actually playing a cleric. But before I dive into it, introductions! Hey folks, my name is VJ Harris. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, and something funny. I'm a full-time tabletop role-playing designer and professional game master. You might recognize my name from things such as MCDM Productions, Arcadia, Flea Mortals, or an Elfinor Cat Little Baby, volumes 1 through 4. Okay, introduction done, let's get back to it. Okay, now that we are back, I'm going to show evidence for both sides of the conversation. Starting off with, Sam is a cleric. Having a low score in your primary ability, while not common, isn't something unheard of. People have purposefully hindered themselves mechanically for the purposes of role-playing. Before, not as far as Critical Role goes as I can remember, but it is something that happens. And if we think about the two people involved in the creation of Wicander Halovar, Sam and Liam, it's not beyond the scope of reason to think these two would do that. From the story thus far, this is a new religion that people are being brought into, and the Halovar family have aligned themselves with devils, so the family in general being more charismatic than wise would make sense. There's also the chance that Brennan has allowed Sam to swap out the primary ability for clerics from wisdom to charisma. Brennan is known, at least to me, for arguing in favor of sorcerers being constitution casters, and according to my sources, Allie Beardsley has played a character where the primary ability was swapped out. Now, there is Wicander's armor class. From a mathematical standpoint, a cleric with a +2 to dexterity cannot have a 12 in AC. At minimum, it would be a 13, unless that cleric isn't wearing armor. Again, I can believe that Sam would hinder himself mechanically for role-playing purposes, which would explain the low armor class. The next thing is thaumaturgy, which we watch Sam use on Tyranny.
I'm going to cast thaumaturgy and yell 3 times my normal volume. Yeah. Tyranny! Be still.
In the 2024 Player's Handbook is exclusively on the cleric spellcasting list. People have also pointed out that Sam's HP is really low for a 3rd level cleric, and they aren't wrong. Before any dice are actually rolled for levels 2 and 3, Sam has a base HP of 14, 8 plus 2 from 1st level, then 2 plus 2 for the next 2 levels. To only get 6 HP from the next 2 rolls means Sam didn't roll too well, and he had to roll because if he took the average for levels 2 and 3, he'd have 24 hit points. I can't remember what Sam's luck is with rolling HP, so I can't use that as evidence, but it's totally possible. Finally, we had CR3 where Chetney was pretending to be just a rogue, but later revealed himself to also be a blood hunter. I don't know if hiding a class would be something they would do twice, but that's just speculation. Okay, to add another 2 things to the Sam is a cleric discussion. Sam could either A, be setting up his character for a class switch later down the line, knowing that he won't be staying a cleric, or B, just be fucking trolling us. Sam and Liam could be fucking trolling us. The fact that I have to keep coming back to add to this video is so funny, but there is another thing to add for the cleric. So, in Campaign 4, we know that it is split into 3 groups: soldiers, schemers, and deceivers. So, if Sam isn't playing a soldier, doesn't really have a reason to wear armor like that, right? Obviously, you could still get into combat if you're a schemer or a deceiver, but I think it's less likely than if you're a soldier. Also, if Sam is not a soldier and is going to be doing scheming and deceiving instead, I think it makes sense that he would possibly have better charisma than wisdom. Like, it makes sense for that character archetype instead. So that's another reason why Sam could be playing a cleric and nothing else. Now, for the other side of the argument, Sorcerer first. As far as the armor class goes, Occam's razor, which states that when faced with competing explanations for the same phenomenon, the one that requires the fewest assumptions is generally the best, or most likely explanation. A common related saying in medicine is, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. The most straightforward explanation is that Sam doesn't have armor proficiencies, which would make him a sorcerer. Being a sorcerer would also explain the hit points. The math breaks down as such: 6 maximum hit die plus 2 con plus 4 con modifier for 2 levels equals 12 plus 8. 4 is the average for a d6, and we add it twice for the 2 levels, with the final number coming down to 20. Now, as I showed previously, Sam used thaumaturgy, which again is a cleric exclusive spell. However, in 2024, if you take the acolyte background, you have to choose 2 cantrips from the cleric spell list, which means Sam could have thaumaturgy whether he's a sorcerer or warlock, or hell, even a paladin. I find that deeply unlikely. Also, while there is no 2024 version of the Divine Soul Sorcerer, in the 2014 version, there is Divine Magic. Your link to the Divine allows you to learn spells normally associated with the Cleric class. When your spellcasting feature lets you learn a Sorcerer cantrip or Sorcerer spell of first level or higher, you can choose the new spell from the Cleric spell list or the Sorcerer spell list. You must otherwise obey all restrictions for selecting the spell, and it becomes a Sorcerer spell for you. And given the fact that Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford are with Darrington Press now, it's not far-fetched that they could update it for 2024. Next up is Warlock. Here's the thing, I think the argument for this breaks down into, this is another class with ties to gods that uses charisma as a modifier. It runs into the exact same problem the Cleric has as far as AC and low HP go, but it could also have thaumaturgy via acolyte background. One more thing to add, there's another way that Sam could be getting thaumaturgy and other Cleric spells as a Warlock. Pact of the Tome from the 2024 Warlock. Cantrips and Rituals. When the book appears, choose 3 cantrips and choose 2 level 1 spells that have the ritual tag. The spells can be from any class's spell list, and they must be spells you don't already have prepared. While the book is on your person, you have the chosen spells prepared, and they function as Warlock spells for you. I did see someone say ILLRIGER, so let's make an argument for that. In case you don't know, ILLRIGERs are versatile armored warriors with a wide array of supernatural abilities that reflect the infernal source of their power. Depending on their contract, they can be highly mobile, stealthy assassins, heavily armored battlefield commanders, or fighting illusionists. It's the first custom class from MCDM Productions. You can follow the link in the description to check it out. Given the fact that Wicander's house has allied themselves with devils, being an ILLRIGER would make sense thematically. The quick build for this class says to pick either Charisma, Strength, or Dexterity as the first ability, and then Constitution next. With 18 Charisma and 15 Constitution, Sam would be following those rules. There's the Hellspeaker Diabolic Contract, the subclass, that could fit with a person who is a charismatic cult leader who pledged themselves to the devil. The charismatic and manipulative Hellspeakers serve Moloch as they slip about the battlefield, coercing enemies into becoming unwitting allies. And picking Acolyte would still allow Sam to have thaumaturgy. But there's a bunch of issues with this as well. If they are hiding Sam's actual class, unless there's a bunch of homebrew going on, the abilities and the spells that the ILLRIGER has access to will give the game away immediately. But perhaps there's no combat plan for a while. There's also the fact that the ILLRIGER has a D10 hit dice, which would mean if Sam rolled his HP, which he would have to, otherwise he would have a 28 HP, he would have had to roll a 4 in total on 2d10, which is possible, but would be wild. Same issue with the AC, even at the lowest armor on ILLRIGER, the minimum they can have is 13, but Sam could be purposely not wearing armor. So there's the reasons and explanations for both sides of the argument, and I guess the real question here is, what do you believe? But that's it, folks. Can't wait to talk about more Critical Role Campaign 4. See you next time. Peace out.